Self-soothing involves learning how to speak kindly to oneself, offer self-compassion, and create a safe internal space. Simple actions like taking a warm bath, listening to calming music, or repeating reassuring affirmations can make a major difference in emotional regulation. The goal is not to make the pain disappear, but to care for oneself while moving through it. It's important to acknowledge that healthy coping mechanisms don't always feel good right away. They require patience, discipline, and repeated effort. Unlike addiction, which provides instant gratification, healthy strategies often take time to show results. This is where many people give up, thinking they're not working. But over time, with consistency, the brain begins to heal. The reward system resets, emotional tolerance increases, and mental clarity returns. What once felt boring or ineffective starts to feel comforting and stabilizing. This shift is gradual, but it is transformative. It is how true recovery takes root. In conclusion, building healthy coping mechanisms is not just a technique. It's a new way of living. It means choosing to face your emotions rather than escape them. It means building a relationship with yourself that is based on care, discipline, and understanding. While addiction offers a quick fix, healthy coping offers lasting strength. It turns pain into growth and chaos into stability. For anyone trying to protect themselves from addiction, this is not a small step. It is the foundation. Without these tools, recovery is fragile. But with them, freedom becomes not only possible, it becomes sustainable. Developing self-discipline is one of the most vital pillars in preventing addiction and recovering from it. Without self-discipline, a person becomes vulnerable to impulsive behavior, emotional instability, and the inability to resist immediate gratification. Addiction thrives in the absence of structure, control, and mental toughness. It feeds off emotional weakness and lack of boundaries. In contrast, self-discipline is the internal engine that helps a person stay consistent in their choices, resist temptation, and pursue long-term well-being over short-term pleasure. It is not a one-time effort, but a continuous process that shapes the way a person thinks, acts, and responds to the world. The journey toward building it is difficult, but the results are powerful and lasting. At its core, self-discipline is about creating a gap between impulse and action. In the addicted mind, that gap is nearly non-existent. The moment a trigger appears, the brain sends a signal, the craving kicks in, and the person acts almost automatically. The goal of self-discipline is to expand that moment, to create space where logic can speak louder than desire. This mental space gives a person the power to pause, reflect, and choose a different path. That moment of pause, though small, holds incredible power. It's where freedom begins, but it doesn't come naturally. It must be trained. Training self-discipline begins with small, intentional actions. Many people try to overhaul their entire lives overnight and fail, because the brain cannot sustain sudden, massive change without support. The better strategy is gradual and steady improvement. For example, setting a simple goal like waking up at a certain time, drinking more water, or limiting screen time starts to build the habit of control. Each time a person honors their own commitment, no matter how small, they strengthen their mental muscles. They prove to themselves that they can choose discomfort over indulgence, responsibility over impulse. This sense of achievement fuels confidence, and confidence strengthens discipline. Routines are the backbone of self-discipline. A structured day removes decision fatigue and provides a sense of control. When a person has a daily routine, they're less likely to wander into dangerous thoughts or unhealthy habits. For someone vulnerable to addiction, idle time can be dangerous. It creates space for cravings to creep in. A disciplined routine that includes physical activity, work, rest, learning, and positive social interaction provides stability and reduces the chances of emotional chaos. Discipline is not about becoming robotic, it's about reducing emotional unpredictability and building habits that serve mental and physical health. One major misconception is that self-discipline means suppressing emotions or living a joyless life. In reality, it means choosing long-term joy over short-term pleasure. Addiction offers immediate relief but causes long-term suffering. Discipline requires denying that short-term relief in exchange for a deeper, lasting peace. It means learning to delay gratification. For instance, when someone chooses to journal their feelings instead of watching pornography, or call a friend instead of using a drug, they are delaying gratification, but also building self-respect. That self-respect accumulates. Over time, it becomes a shield against relapse. Temptation is a constant part of life. Even after months or years of recovery, a person may still face moments of weakness. Self-discipline acts like a mental alarm system in those moments. It reminds the person of their values, their goals, and the consequences of their actions. It also gives them tools to respond. Instead of panicking or giving in, a disciplined mind can say, "This is a craving, not a command. I don't have to act on it." That internal voice is developed through repeated resistance. Every time a person says no to an unhealthy urge, they make it easier to say no the next time. Discipline also teaches consistency. Addiction is rooted in inconsistency, bouncing between control and chaos, hope and despair. The disciplined mind creates a rhythm: wake up, work, eat well, rest, reflect, repeat. This rhythm doesn't eliminate emotion, but it prevents emotion from taking over. People with strong self-discipline aren't immune to stress or pain. They've just built a structure that can hold them when those feelings arise. The more consistent the structure, the more resilient the person becomes. Resilience makes recovery sustainable. Another important part of discipline is accountability. A person who hides their actions or avoids responsibility creates space for addiction to grow in silence. Discipline means being honest about struggles, being willing to ask for help, and being committed to growth even when no one is watching. It means setting rules and following them, not out of fear, but out of respect for oneself. Whether it's checking in with a mentor, attending therapy, or tracking progress in a journal, external and internal accountability help reinforce self-discipline. They keep a person focused and grounded. It's also important to understand that discipline is not perfection. There will be failures, days when the person gives in, falls back, or loses motivation. Self-discipline is not about never falling, it's about rising again. It teaches that setbacks are not the end, but part of the learning process. Each relapse or mistake can be examined. What led to it? What emotion or situation broke the rhythm? What can be done differently next time? This reflection, instead of guilt or shame, turns failure into fuel. Discipline transforms failure from a dead end into a stepping stone. The role of the environment cannot be ignored in developing discipline. Surrounding yourself with people who support your growth, avoiding environments that encourage addiction, and keeping reminders of your goals visible in daily life can make a huge difference. Discipline is easier when you're not constantly fighting external battles. Creating a supportive space helps you focus on the internal work. This might include removing addictive apps, blocking certain websites, avoiding specific hangouts, or even changing jobs or friends if necessary. Discipline sometimes requires making hard choices for the sake of mental health. Finally, the most powerful aspect of self-discipline is that it restores dignity. Addiction steals a person's sense of worth and power. It makes them feel weak, broken, and out of control. But every act of discipline is a declaration: I am in charge of my life. This mindset doesn't develop overnight, but every step taken in discipline brings a person closer to it. When someone chooses discipline daily, they begin to see themselves not as a victim of cravings, but as a creator of their future. In conclusion, self-discipline is not a punishment. It is a form of freedom. It liberates a person from the cycle of compulsion and regret. It builds strength in the mind, structure in the day, and clarity in the heart. While addiction leads to chaos and despair, discipline creates peace and power. Anyone can develop it regardless of their past. It begins with one decision: to take responsibility for your actions even when it's hard. With time, that decision becomes a habit, and that habit becomes a new identity, one that chooses health over harm, purpose over pleasure, and strength over surrender. Rebuilding relationships and seeking social support is one of the most essential, yet often overlooked, aspects of recovering from addiction and preventing its return. Addiction, by nature, is isolating. It drives individuals to retreat into themselves, hide their behaviors, and disconnect from the people who care about them. Over time, the person may lose trust, damage bonds, and push away even those who try to help. These broken relationships can deepen the feelings of guilt, loneliness, and unworthiness that fuel addiction in the first place. That is why rebuilding connections and surrounding oneself with a strong social support system is not just helpful, it is critical to healing. Human beings are wired for connection. We are social creatures who thrive on belonging, understanding, and shared emotional experiences. When someone becomes addicted, their world narrows. The substance or behavior becomes their primary relationship. It fills the space where family, friends, and meaningful interaction once lived. This substitution creates a false sense of security, but it also breeds shame and secrecy. A person caught in addiction often feels unworthy of love or scared of being judged. This leads to more isolation, which in turn deepens the addiction. Breaking this cycle starts with a brave step outward, reaching for real human connection again. Rebuilding relationships after addiction is not a simple process. It requires humility, patience, and consistent effort. Many loved ones may feel hurt, betrayed, or skeptical about the person's intentions. Trust may have been broken, sometimes repeatedly. It's important to understand that rebuilding trust takes time, and it is earned through actions, not just words. Apologizing sincerely is important, but it must be followed by behavioral changes. Showing up on time, keeping promises, being honest, and demonstrating commitment to recovery are all part of the process. Each of these small steps tells others, "I am trying to be different. I value you. I want to reconnect." Forgiveness plays a central role in this journey. The individual must forgive themselves for past mistakes, and they must be open to asking for forgiveness from others, not demanding it but hoping for it. Not everyone may be ready to reconcile, and that's okay. Respecting boundaries while continuing to work on oneself is a sign of maturity. Over time, many people will soften when they see consistent progress. They will begin to trust again. They will begin to open up. The goal is not just to fix the past, but to build a healthier future with better communication, deeper understanding, and more honesty. Social support is not only about restoring old relationships, it is also about building new, healthier ones. Often, the social circles that existed during active addiction are not safe to return to. If someone wants to recover fully, they may need to walk away from friends or environments that encourage harmful behaviors. This can be painful, but necessary. Surrounding oneself with people who respect the journey of healing, who offer encouragement instead of temptation, and who genuinely care about well-being is key to long-term recovery. Healthy friendships are like emotional anchors. They provide strength during storms and reminders of who you're becoming, not who you were. Support groups, therapy groups, or recovery communities offer a powerful space for connection. In these settings, people can share their stories without fear of judgment. There is something incredibly healing about sitting with others who understand your struggle, not because they read about it in a book, but because they've lived it. These communities foster accountability, reduce shame, and remind individuals that they are not alone. The sense of belonging that grows in these groups can fill the emotional void that addiction once filled. Many people in recovery say these relationships saved their lives, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. Family support is another pillar. Families are often the first victims of addiction's destruction, but they can also be the strongest allies in recovery. Rebuilding family ties takes time and effort, but it's worth it. Open conversations, family therapy, or joint sessions with a counselor can help families understand addiction better and communicate more effectively. It allows for mutual healing, where both sides can express their hurt, set boundaries, and start fresh. Families that learn to support without enabling and to love without controlling can be a powerful force in helping someone stay on track. Rebuilding relationships also includes learning new skills. Addiction often stunts emotional growth. A person may have spent years numbing their feelings instead of learning